Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 7 of the Unspoken Rules podcast. I'm your host, Sebastian, aka Rabbit, and today is going to be a special one, man. Not only am I here with my wonderful co-host, Montana, aka Wildcard, but we got a special guest, our very first guest, a very good friend of ours, who's studying sports media and journalism and wanted to be a part of the show at some point. So it was, a perfect time to hit him up. He has a huge passion in sports just like us. Please join me in welcoming our good friend, Blake. Go ahead and introduce yourself, my guy.
Hey, I'm Blake Spillers. First off, thank you, Sebastian Montana, for having me on the show. I appreciate it and always love the nice shout out there. But like Sebastian said, I'm studying sports media at Indiana University, and I'm just happy to be here and definitely excited to talk about the games from last night.
Thank you, brother. Well, thank you again so much for coming and joining us today. We do got a lot to talk about. Two big games last night. First, we got the Nuggets and the Trailblazers. What a start by MPJ. You know what I'm saying? That was probably one of the craziest. I was not expecting that at all. Also, Portland just firing from all cylinders. That first half just looked like an all-star game. You know what I mean? Like that entire game was tight down, like up until down the stretch, but that first half just looked like an all-star game. Down the stretch, unfortunately, Dame Dalla, who you would thought would, Dame time, would come out of nowhere and just ball out. He disappeared and went 0 for 8 from the field. And then obviously we have the Suns game. They won in beautiful fashion. Thank you very much with a D-book 47-point game. Beautiful start. Jay Crowder 3 for 3 from the perimeter. Like it was just going for the Suns last night. And then obviously LeBron James getting sold by his teammates. You saw, I think, in the third quarter, fourth quarter, Kyle Kuzma goes up for a shot or a pass or something. And at that point, you just saw LeBron like, bro, what is this kid doing? I'm just getting sold. And he's like, yo, Frank, get me out. Took a little break. And it was like 7 minutes left, I think, in the fourth. They're down by 12. And, it was just unfortunate. LeBron just got sold. I feel so bad. But, yeah, it's crazy to think that both teams from the finals last year were knocked in the first round. And then, obviously, we're going to be previewing the game tonight. I think Dallas is going to win, but we'll get into that. Go ahead, Montana. Take it away, bud.
All right. So we got the Denver Nuggets winning 126-115 and completing the series 4 games to 2. Let's take a look at the box score for the Denver Nuggets here. We had a lot of double-digit scorers for the squad. We got Austin Rivers, who had 7 points and 1 rebound in 40 minutes. Nikola Jokic had 36 points, his accustomed 30-plus point game, had 8 rebounds and 6 assists, just falling shy of the triple-double. Aaron Gordon had 13 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. Michael Porter Jr. scored all 26 of his points in the first half, had 5 rebounds and 4 assists in 34 minutes. Monte Morris had 22 points and 9 assists and 4 rebounds, and has really came on for the Denver Nuggets as of late. Facundo Campazzo had 10 points, 3 assists, and 2 rebounds in 23 minutes. And JaMychal Green, who is the only other double-digit scorer, had 10 points and 9 rebounds in 23 minutes. For the Trailblazers, it was a little bit of a struggle in the second half, not in the second half primarily, but the fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter, yeah.
Damian Lillard had 28 points, 13 assists, and 4 rebounds. Joseph Nurkic had 13 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. Norman Powell had 17 points, 2 assists, and 4 rebounds. And Robert Covington had 11 points and 10 rebounds. CJ McCollum had 21, 4, and 3 in 38 minutes. And then Carmelo Anthony had 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. So Sebastian and Blake, with Denver completing the series, do we think that they're going to be coming out of the right side of that bracket in the Western Conference when they play up against the Phoenix Suns?
No, I don't. I still think the Suns win that series. Hey, man, like I said, that first half literally just felt like an all-star game. Like everybody was just shooting threes. I think the Trailblazers had 7 threes in that first quarter, or 8 threes. And then obviously Michael Porter had his like 4 or 5. I think it was like 5 for 5 up until he missed his first one. Like it was just a crazy game last night in that first quarter and that second quarter. I don't understand what went down. But yeah, they started out hot. The game was close. Portland won that first quarter 33-29. Then they won the second quarter 35-32. That third quarter, they came out, a little slow, lost it 37-33. But that fourth quarter, everybody just disappeared. Everybody. Not even Dame, even though he went 0 for 8 in that fourth quarter, everybody disappeared. Like, I don't know how you just start out so hot and then have like CJ McCollum just shoot for 2 for 8. You know what I mean? Like Norman Powell, 3 for 6. He was 3 for 3 at one point. Like I don't know. They just all disappeared, and I guess they just didn't want to win. But yeah, for your bench to get outscored the way they did with Monte Morris scoring 22, JaMychal, like you said, scoring 10 for the Nuggets, and then you getting no productivity from your bench in Portland. I mean, on top of that, there's only so much that you can do. Like your superstars disappear in the fourth to try and win this game, and then your bench does not give you any productivity the entire game. I mean, at that point, Denver just, they had the nail to the coffin and sent these boys packing in their home.
Couldn't have said it any better myself. I mean, if you look at it, the first 2 quarters where the Blazers were winning is when their bench and when the rest of the role players were doing what they needed to do, hitting open shots that Dame and CJ were getting for them. But like you said, that fourth quarter, there was a cap on the rim. That is for sure. There's nobody could hit a bucket, and you can't hit a bucket in the fourth quarter. You're not going to win the game. And Denver took that dub, and I agree with you. I think Phoenix definitely wins that series, though.
What do you think, Montana?
All right. So, on yesterday's episode, I said that Portland was going to win, but for the most part, they were winning by a lot until that fourth quarter was going to happen. So I don't know exactly where the wheels fell off for the Trailblazers going into that game. But Damian Lillard, I think he shot over 7 in the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken. But as the superstar player of the Blazers, that is definitely not good enough to get the job done, especially in a closeout situation. And I know after the game he was talking about when is the opportunity going to catch up to the dedication that he puts into the game. Mm-hmm. But at that same time, like that fourth quarter was his to blame also, because he was just taking wild shots for no unnecessary reason. He had plenty of opportunities to not take 3-pointers like he was forcing. Of course, though, you got to give Denver credit, because when in that fourth quarter they turned up the defensive intensity. They started double teaming Damian Lillard when he got past half court. He had to force the ball out of his hands early, and of course, CJ McCollum could not help his co-star out. And I don't even consider McCollum a star. Like, for the Blazers to succeed next year, they need to find Damian Lillard, an all-star caliber player on his level that can take some of the scoring load off of him, because McCollum's a good player, but he's not a superstar player. And of course, he'll make his shots every once in a while, but you can't count on him in the clutch moments to make those decisions and to be the guy for the Blazers that they sorely needed.
I want to say one thing though before we move on. What do you think about that Damian Lillard Instagram post though? The man posted, 2 pictures of him, leaving that game, and then he put as the caption, "How long should I stay dedicated? How long till opportunity meet preparation? Nipsey Hussle." What do you think? Do you think Dame Dolla's gone, or do you think what do you think is going to happen with this Portland team, or at least Dame Dolla's next year, Montana and Blake?
I think for sure that he will probably still be in Portland next year. I don't think they're going to blow up the team that easily. I think instead of trading him, I think they're going to try to add to the team. I think they realize they need to demand some help. Obviously, McCollum is not the guy for Portland, so maybe they try to look to trade him and another piece for an established star, maybe trade away a couple of first-round picks to get someone that can maybe help Dame get to the next level, because we've seen it in the past. The Blazers, they were close to the finals a couple years ago. Of course, they got swept by the Warriors in 4 games that year that KD was out. But they definitely – I don't see them trading Damian Lillard, but they can definitely add to the team to make them better.
No, yeah, I definitely agree. I would say that next year they're going to go in trying to reload rather than rebuild. But if things don't go well next year, I think Terry Stotts is gone, and I think Dame is gone as well. I think if next year isn't a success, I don't know why you would keep the team together. The goal isn't to be the 4 or 5 seed. The goal is to win a championship.
Oh, that's a great point. He asked in the chat, Beal and Dame ? What do y'all boys think of that?
Bradley Beal, it could happen. It could happen.
What do you think about that?
It all depends on whether or not he says he wants out of Washington.
Yeah, I don't think Washington blows that up just yet. I think Washington looks to reload as well.
Okay. We can move on to the next game if you'd like.
Yeah, nothing else to say about this one, Sebastian?
Nah, I'm pretty much it.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All
Other than I called it, you know what I mean? I did say that, with that mile high performance in Denver.
We never talked about Denver.
No, but I said that because of that performance from Dame Dollar in that last game, they were not like it would come down to Dame Dollar's performance again. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't think he had the energy to like help this team win because he's gonna know his teams are gonna sell him. They came out hot, but down the stretch they all folded. Not only Dame Dollar, but everybody else around him. They all just didn't have it. They didn't have the tank left.
Well, I think it just shows, too, that even though defense isn't as important as it once used to be, that it still matters. Denver was able to turn up the intensity in defense, and Portland just could not match that defensively.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I want to talk about, like, I don't think we really talked about Denver and how well they played yesterday. I mean, they had a bunch of scorers on the squad that put up double-digit performances that we are now getting used to for Denver at the moment. And obviously, I don't think they're going to win the championship this year just because I feel like without Jamal Murray, they're missing that one extra piece. Yeah. Michael Porter Jr. in the second half of the season and even in this playoffs has shown that he's a star player and that he's going to be blossoming into a superstar before our eyes. And this is his coming out party right now. Obviously, he didn't have any points in the second half, but 26 in the first half, he set the tone for Denver early. And him and Jokic are carrying the squad right now. Jokic, he was making some crazy shots yesterday that I can't believe the center of his size does. And it's this, and of course, Monte Morris, the guy literally stepping up for Jamal Murray in his absence, he's balling off the bench. And 22 points, 9 assists, and 4 rebounds, that's nothing to be slight about. And even Austin Rivers, the guy was not even playing this year, and he gets a 10-day contract, and then he just plays his way into the rotation, and he's giving them quality minutes, quality defense. He's hitting big shots. So we got to give Denver their credit where it's due.
No, I agree. Oh, Michael Porter Jr., I mean, it's people like to say he had 0 points in that second half, but without his 26 points in the first half, that game's a blowout. I mean, if you think about it, Jokic was in foul trouble, and without MPJ hitting those crazy threes, I mean, we could be talking about a game 7 here instead of talking about Portland going home.
I literally was going to say the absolute same thing. Be like Jokic struggling once he got that foul trouble, like they had to take him out. MPJ had already hit those, I think, 4 threes at the time when Jokic went out. He hits like 1 or 2 more, and then he slows down. But without those points to start that game, give them the momentum and get into rhythm, you know, it'd be a completely different game. And I think we do, in fact, be talking about a game 7. But yeah, it was a great performance all around. I'm honestly not surprised for Monte Morris. Like that man's like one of the most underrated like hoopers in the league right now. Obviously, he probably wouldn't be doing this if Jamal was actually healthy. But the fact that he's taking advantage of these minutes with Jamal down, like I think this is huge for him. Not only his morale, you know, like his team, like chemistry, everything. Like it's just a perfect situation for Denver and for Monte, for Jamal to be down and for him to be playing the way he's playing, filling in that role.
Yeah, of course. All right, so as we are done with the Denver Nuggets and they're winning 126-115, they're going to advance to play the winner of the next game we're about to talk about, the Lakers and the Phoenix Suns. Going into the game, Phoenix was up 3-2. Los Angeles Lakers were supposed to get Anthony Davis back into this Game 6 lineup. Obviously, that didn't fare well for the Lakers, and they got cooked early on, and they could not recover from the Phoenix Suns' manhandling, if you may. They won 113-100. Devin Booker was the star for the Phoenix Suns in this one. Had 47 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists. He played almost the whole entire game. Played 46 minutes. Chris Paul gave in his 29 minutes. He scored 8 points. He had 12 assists. He had 2 rebounds. That's great numbers for Chris Paul considering he has a bum shoulder at the moment. DeAndre Ayton, I expect more. For the Phoenix Suns to win the next round, they're going to need more from DeAndre Ayton, especially because this guy is supposed to be the number 2 player, but he had 8 points and 3 rebounds and 1 assist in 32 minutes. Mikal Bridges had 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 1 assist in 35 minutes. Jay Crowder, who is probably making a huge difference for the Phoenix Suns at the moment, just like he did for the Miami Heat last year, had 18 points, 8 rebounds in 37 minutes, but that just doesn't account for also the defense that he plays on players. And then we also got another double-digit scorer in Cameron Johnson, who had 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists in 20 minutes. And then Cameron Payne only played 23 minutes, but had 7 points, 1 rebound, and 1 assist. For the Lakers, It was just an abysmal night for the Lakers. They could not get anything going early in that first half. LeBron James did all he could to help the Lakers try to win this game, but obviously Father Time is catching up to the man, and at some point, he's not going to be the number one player anymore, and obviously he needed Anthony Davis to be there with him, but Anthony Davis was injured and could not show up for the Lakers after the 6-minute mark in the first quarter. So LeBron had 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists in 41 minutes. Some other role players like Marc Gasol only had 0 points in 18 minutes, which is not good enough for the starting center. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope actually showed up a little bit, had 19 points and 3 rebounds in 39 minutes. Dennis Schroeder had a decent game, had 20 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists in 38 minutes. Wesley Matthews, another starter for the Lakers, only had 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 1 assist. Did not play well at all. Had 20, and he did all that in 28 minutes. Horton Tucker, who may be a trade piece for the Lakers going forward, had 12 points, 2 rebounds in 19 minutes. And everyone else, we got Kyle Kuzma, who's probably one of the worst players in the NBA, had 2 points and 4 rebounds in 18 minutes. The guy is a waste of $50 million. I don't know why the Lakers ever paid that guy the extension. So, Sebastian, I know you're happy about this one. Where do you see the Phoenix Suns going now after this game? And where do you see the Lakers and their offseason plans going for the future? Will LeBron get help? And will Anthony Davis ever stay healthy for the rest of his career?
First things first, thank you, Montana, for giving me the credit. You know what I mean? I did call this before the jump. Yeah, sure, maybe a gone 7 with Anthony Davis. But I did call the Phoenix Suns winning in 6. At least this game right here. I don't know what else you want from the Lakers, or expect from them. Like when you shoot 28.6% from the 3, and the Phoenix Suns shoot 51%. At that point, when you're getting cooked by at least from that percentages, the game should not even be that close. But shout out Devin Booker and shout out Jay Crowder for that fast and early start. That's the only reason why they really won that ball game. Because if you look at the breakdown of each quarter, right? Let's take away the first quarter away. The second quarter, the Lakers win by 1 point. The third quarter, the Lakers win by 8 points. And the fourth quarter, they're tied. You take away that first quarter performance, the Lakers win that ball game. You know what I mean? So because of that fast start with Devin Booker and Jay Crowder hitting those early 3 threes, and I think Devin Booker after the first had 26 or 22 or something like that. Like the fact that they had that phenomenal start from Jay Crowder, who I love so very much, and Devin Booker, who's probably one of my favorite players. That's really just what saved that for them, because low key down the stretch they were kind of selling that bag. But it is what it is. They held on to that lead. They came into focus, locked in. But yeah, for a team to shoot 50% from the field, 51% from the 3, and then the Lakers shooting 41% from the field and 28.6% from the 3, it just wasn't pretty for them. But yeah, I mean, Devin Booker, like I said, had a great night. Jay Crowder had a great night. And to say with DeAndre Ayton, I mean, Montana, at the end of the day, with Devin Booker playing the way he was playing and dotting everybody else, you know what I'm saying? And Chris Paul dotting everybody, you can't really expect Ayton to have a big night. Everybody's contributing, doing what they need. If anything, Ayton did what he needed to do defensively. But you don't really need, especially in a game like that, you don't really need DeAndre Ayton to be scoring more points. You know what I'm saying? Jay Crowder finished with 18, D-Book finished with 47. Everybody had, points that they needed to do to contribute. Ayton went 3 for 4 and 2 for 2 from the free throw. So it's not like he shot the ball bad or anything. He just didn't get touches. But yeah, I mean, I just love the Phoenix Suns, bro. I think the Phoenix Suns are going to be in the finals up against the Brooklyn Nets. Ben said that for the longest. The Lakers, now to answer your question about the offseason, I don't know why you brought Montrezl Harrell to not even touch the damn court, played 8 minutes. With AD playing only 5, how does Montrezl Harrell, who comes in to help your team, play 8 minutes? That just is beyond me. I don't know why they live and died by Marc Gasol. Makes no sense. I got mad love for him, but just clearly was not, he was not the go-to guy. I don't know why they did that, but whatever. And then for Drummond to not even touch the court, everyone was like, "Oh my God, we signed Andre Drummond. Oh yeah, it's over. Lakers in fault. You know what I'm saying? So for them to not even touch Andre Drummond this game, I get his presence. It's all in the paint, so it's DeAndre Ayton will just sit in the sit in the paint, so nobody can really attack the basket. I get that, but then what was the point of even bringing him here? You know what I mean? Anthony Davis is injured. Play somebody else. help LeBron. You know what I'm saying? You can't rely on these guards to do everything. And then lastly, with Horton Tucker, that man's a hooper. I'm glad he got 19 minutes. I wish he would have played more this series because honestly, it's like my sleeper pick right there. I think he is going to ball out next year, whether he gets traded or not. I think he's going to have a great season next year. Blake, take it away.
No, yeah, for sure. To start with the Suns, I love the Suns as well. I've been, ever since they signed Chris Paul, I've been big on the Suns. But I do have to say the Suns do scare me if Chris Paul isn't able to play down the stretch, because like the one game they lost in the series was when they got to the fourth quarter and they just could not get a clutch bucket. Their offense stopped moving. Devin Booker was forcing too much. And that makes me a little nervous against the Nuggets, because the Nuggets MPJ now, and you've got Jokic showing that they can hit clutch bucket after clutch bucket. And the Suns, yes, Devin Booker, believe me, that man is a walking bucket. But there have been times this season where he forces when Chris Paul isn't in the lineup. And if Chris Paul isn't fully healthy, I'm a little nervous for what the Suns have against the Nuggets. But then going off of what you said, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the fact that the Lakers, without Anthony Davis, you're telling me that Marc Gasol is the best big on that team?
Let him know.
He can barely walk up and down the court anymore. And, you know, that's not against the guy. He used to be a defensive player of the year. Obviously, that's not what he is anymore. But to not even have a single point, I think it kind of shows you that Frank Vogel might be a little too much. He's an overrated coach. He could never win in Indy. He could never win in Indy, and there was an excuse. It's in Indy, but now he's in the Lakers. You have no excuse. You're not showing that you know how to play your different players. I mean, it'd be one thing. Yes, the Lakers had injuries, and there's only so much a coach can do. But the fact that you're not starting Talen Horton-Tucker, or the fact that Montrezl Harrell and Andre Drummond aren't even seeing the floor, like it blows my mind. It really does, honestly.
That's it right there, bro. That's it right, bro. I've been saying that. Now, Blake hit it on the freaking nail.
You did not say that yesterday, bro. I told you about Frank Vogel.
No, I didn't say that last night. I didn't say that last night. But I've been saying, like, to my IRLs that Vogel is literally overrated. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't say it on the podcast. You're right. That's my fault. But I've been saying that to, like, my friends and everybody, you know what I'm saying, on stream and whatnot. But, like, bro, Frank Vogel, bro, is a freaking waste. Like you said yesterday, Montana, goddamn LeBron is the head coach, bro. Not Frank Vogel, bro. Like, that man is a freaking Buford. You know what I mean? Like, bro, it's just, you know, Blake hit it on the, you know what I'm saying? Hit it on, you know, whatever the hell it's, hit it on the nail, whatever, bro. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Montana. My bad. I'm just happy with this kid right now.
So I give you full credit for calling the Suns in 6. I know you called this a long time ago.
Thank you.
To my credit, though, if Anthony Davis was healthy, they would have won the series in 5 games.
I don't know about that one.
If he was healthy, they would have won in 5 games.
I don't know about that one. I don't know, because if Chris Paul was healthy, like Blake mentioned, bro, game 2 down the stretch, it was a 2-point game. The Suns couldn't do nothing. If they have CP3, they mentioned it last night. CP3 always last minute is setting up his players with 7 minutes left every game. CP3 is dishing. People are hitting shots. D-Book is getting shot. You know what I'm saying? Like,
when Chris Paul is in the game, it's just open. He's either getting an open shot or he's getting someone an open shot, and that's what you need in the fourth quarter, because you don't want to defense get the intensity is definitely in a close game in the fourth quarter. Defensive intensity rises. Like, I mean, from the first quarter to the fourth quarter, they're playing way better defense, and if you don't have your point guard, especially one to Chris Paul's caliber, I mean, like we've seen with the Suns without him, the ball just does not move as well, and bad shots happen because of that.
Mm-hmm. Listen, all right. As we go into the next round, though, I want to see Phoenix succeed, and they've been bad for all these years since Steve Nash left, and Devin Booker. I feel like I've given him a bad rap for the last couple of years, but he's a solid player. He's turning into a superstar this season. I'm not going to deny that. But the guy, he's a good player. But I think actually Denver might win the next series. Just because I don't think Chris Paul is 100%. And I do think that Denver has better role players around Jokic and Michael Porter Jr. to get the job done. Defensively, they're a little bit of a better team, in my opinion. Yes, Devin Booker, he's going to score his 30-plus points. He may even go for 51 game. But if to me, DeAndre Ayton is the key for the Phoenix Suns in the next round. If he doesn't put up the 20-plus points, they're going to get outscored every game by Denver, because Denver has so much firepower that they're going to get run off the court. Phoenix they have Chris Paul, Devin Booker. DeAndre Ayton is going to need to be the second guy for Booker to succeed. And the bench pieces, I don't think the Phoenix has the best bench. They're solid, but they're not great. Denver's bench is really good. That's all. I do believe that Denver is going to win the next series. I think it'll go 6 or 7. But as far as that goes, I think Phoenix might be a little bit outmatched here.
I mean, okay, I can see where you come from with the bench. I can totally see that. Like, especially because, like, in my opinion, I trust Monte Morris more than I trust Cameron Payne. Don't get me wrong, Cameron Payne's a little bucket, and he's proving himself this series. But, yeah, I mean, it kind of just comes down to Cameron Johnson if he's going to come in off the bench and hit big shots because he's a hooper. You know what I'm saying? That man's a sniper. Not even a hooper. That man's a sniper. But, yeah, no, that Denver bench is nice. It just depends on which bench gives that production that they need. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to get their points. Everybody's going to get their buckets. You know what I'm saying? I think DeAndre Ayton matched up with Jokic is going to put DeAndre back in that mindset because you got to look at it. When he played and AD was healthy, DeAndre dropped 22, 24. The fact that AD went down, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't have to do much because, like, that's not – I don't know. I guess that just wasn't the scheme that Monte wanted them to do. I guess just give it to D Book or give it to whoever had the hot hand. But when he is matched up against a big, DeAndre is – putting in that work, doing what he needs to do. So it's going to be a good matchup between him and Jokic. I'm ready to watch that. I think it goes 6 or 7. Obviously, you have the Nuggets winning. I got the Suns winning. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of agree to a certain extent. But, yeah, that's pretty much it.
No, I mean, I definitely agree with what you're saying about the bench. But for me, I think the most interesting matchup is going to be Aaron Gordon and Mikal Bridges. I think that matchup right there is really going to determine the series because that's like the arguable third best player in each team's starting lineup. And the forward position is like we see in the NBA, it's important. And if Aaron Gordon has a better series than Bridges, then I think it's the Nuggets that win it. And if Bridges comes out and has a good series, I think it could be the Suns that seal the way. Because the big, like you guys said, the big players, they're going to get their stats. Devin Booker's going to get his. Yeah. Nikola Jokic is going to get his. MPJ's he's going to get his. Chris Paul's going to do what Chris Paul does. But it's those players that haven't been there. It's those players that are the third best player, the fourth best player. Are they going to have a consistent enough series to win it for either team?
Yeah, like are we going to see? Oh, my bad.
DeAndre Ayton was the number 1 pick a couple years ago, and he's showing flashes of greatness. But 8 points in last game is not going to translate and get the job done against Denver. If Jokic bullies him down low or even takes him out of the paint, because we know Jokic can stretch the floor. We've seen him make 3-pointers. If he does that and exposes DeAndre Ayton, then that's going to be a problem for Ayton. It's going to be a problem for the Suns, and it's going to be to the advantage of the Denver Nuggets.
No, I agree. 100%. Something to watch. DeAndre Ayton he doesn't jump on defense, so he stands still with his arms straight up. And Jokic, you're going to see if Jokic can shoot his shot over him, which he does so well, it could be a scary series for the Suns for sure.
Yeah.
Sebastian, your thoughts?
No, I mean, I was just, I'm good. I'm good. I think, obviously, it comes down to what Blake said with Mccollum and Aaron Gordon. I was just going to mention, are we going to see an Austin Rivers, crazy performance? That man was averaging, what? He had, 2 or 3 games over 15, over 20. So, is he going to come out and hoop? Last night, he only had 7. But is he going to come and hoop for that squad? You know what I mean? It's just – there's a lot of factors that go into – that Denver team. They can go deep when it comes to their rotations, when it comes to scores. It's just a matter of are they going to get that productivity from those role players and all of that. So I still think the Suns win, Maybe it's a little biased because I love Devin Booker, and I've been defending Devin Booker for the longest time. But, yeah, I mean, I still think they win, and we'll see. It's going to be a great one, though. I'm excited.
All right, let's talk about the Lakers' off-season plans before we move on to the next topic. LeBron James, he's going to be running into his 19th NBA season next year. It's crazy to think he's been in the league for 20 years, and he's still playing at good enough level where he's a factor in games.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis, we know he has a growing strain. He'll be back healthy next season. There's no doubt in my mind that he won't. But the players around LeBron James and Anthony Davis are not what got them to the finals last year. both of those guys were surrounded by prolific shooters, and that is what they were missing in the playoffs this year. They banked on Montrezl Harrell and Dennis Schroeder, two of the finalists for Sixth Man of the Year last year, coming in and being factors for the Lakers in the starting lineup. But both those guys, I don't know what it is, but I feel like when good players come to play with LeBron, if they're not like 100% superstar level players, they get thrown to the side a little bit, and I feel like their game gets a little bit wonky at times. They bring in Andre Drummond, who was one of the big free agent prizes in the midseason for the buyout market, and the guy did not show up for the Lakers at all. Obviously, you can't. Anthony Davis needs to be the 5 in order for the team to succeed, in my opinion.
Yep.
They need to find a stretch 4 that can rebound, who can shoot, and they need to get a different. I feel like they need to get a shooting guard that can shoot. Someone like Seth Curry, maybe Duncan Robinson might be an option for the Lakers in the offseason if the Miami Heat don't re-sign. I feel like the LeBron needs shooters around him. LeBron definitely needs to play the point guard position. Schroeder isn't that type of guy. I think Schroeder might be gone in the offseason. Either that, or they look to trade pieces like Kyle Kuzma and maybe Taylor Horton Tucker for someone like maybe just for cap relief, and maybe they go after someone like Kyle Lowry that can help stabilize the point guard position, help defensively. They need a couple pieces around LeBron and Anthony Davis to get back to that form they were at last year, because LeBron can't carry the squad like he used to be.
No, absolutely. I don't know if you want to go, Blake. You can go. I'll go after you.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. And I think an underrated thing, I think losing JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard is not getting talked about enough. I mean, the interior defense of the Lakers struggled all playoff series. I mean, yes, DeAndre Ayton didn't have a good game last night, but that's besides the point, because I just saw Suns getting easy bucket after easy bucket in transition and in the lane. And JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, yes, they aren't your typical big that you're looking for that can shoot, but they're athletic, they play good defense, and they hustle. And the Lakers didn't have that. And I have been an Andre Drummond hater for the longest time, and it's because I think he puts up useless stats. I always have, and it's been talked about more this year because he's in the Lakers now. He's in the spotlight. When he was in Detroit scoring 30 and 15, people were praising him because 30 and 15, you see big numbers. It's easy to get your head mixed, but he puts up useless stats. He hunts for rebounds. He hunts for blocks. And in the playoffs, it's just proven not to work. And I think that just shows, and that's another reason, especially when Anthony Davis went down, the Lakers didn't have a big to put in there that could just put in minutes.
No, absolutely. I was reading all over social media last night, or like this entire series, like the reasoning as to why Drummond barely plays or whatnot is because of the fact that, I think I mentioned it earlier, the fact that he can't shoot. You know what I'm saying? So he would have to sit in the paint or just run pick and rolls. And how are you just going to run pick and rolls like all day? You know what I'm saying? Like they just, I don't know. It just, with LeBron running point, like Andre Drummond just not being able to just shoot the ball is what's definitely affecting them. Because if not, you have DeAndre Ayton just sitting in the paint, not even having to step up and just being like, okay, come into my paint then. And so I trust DeAndre Ayton's defensive capability of, locking that paint down. But it makes sense why he just didn't, he didn't play that many minutes. I don't know why they didn't play Harrell. I guess that's the same reason. They didn't want to clog the paint for LeBron or for anybody else that wanted to attack it. But like I've said this like a couple times on this podcast, with Anthony Davis, he needs to accept his role. LeBron already accepted his role, taking a step back and letting AD be the number one guy. AD needs to come in, accept his role, and play the 5. He needs to play the 5. That man will be so dominant at the 5 with having a spotting up, 4 or some sort of 4, like you were mentioning earlier, Montana. Like that team will be great. He just needs to finally say, F it, let me take on this role at the 5 rather than wanting to be at the 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. You can be dominant at the 4. I get it completely. But transition that to the 5 and just be as dominant, bro. There's no difference, So that's kind of just my take on that.
I 100% agree. I think if Anthony Davis can go back to what made him great, like start in the post, dominate in the post, and then make them double team and then pop out and
work
start
yourself.
Yeah. The problem is what I can agree more. I mean, I've seen him. He's trying to shoot too much at the beginning of games, and you see games where he drops 40-something points because if he's hot, I mean, he's Anthony Davis. He can hit shots and get to the hole. But if he starts off slow, then they're not giving him the ball in the paint. And for me, I think that's where Anthony Davis needs to go back to his roots a little bit. Go back into the paint, feed. You're a beast. You're 7 foot tall. You're super athletic. You can jump over everybody. It's not like he's weak. I mean, Anthony Davis just needs to figure out that, hey, like I need to be down there and I need to bruise some guys up a little bit.
One thing last night Chuck mentioned, which was like literally perfect. And I know I keep mentioning inside the NBA a lot. I'm sorry. But man, he literally hit the nail on the coffin. He said they need to go back and they need to talk to Anthony Davis and figure out what is he doing wrong when it comes to his training for his body, because there's no way at this age this man should be this injury prone. You know what I mean? I can understand in the later of his career, you know what I'm saying? Old age, father time, all those excuses, whatever the case may be. But right now in the prime of his career, especially being in Showtime, you know what I'm saying? In LA, this is where AD wanted to be. He wanted to win rings. He wanted to, he wanted the spotlight to play alongside LeBron James. He cannot be injured. LeBron needs teammates to help him, and the only person that was helping him was clearly Anthony Davis. And so the fact that he was not there to help LeBron, and extend this series is unfortunate. And it's something that they need to talk to. They need to have LeBron talk to AD. Whatever they need to do, they need to figure out exactly why it is that Anthony Davis is always getting injured. Because without him, especially this regular season, they played, I don't even know how many games they played together. No team chemistry coming in. It was a hard-fought battle with the damn Warriors. Like, you know what I'm saying? I really thought the Warriors were about to win that game, but they somehow clutched up. Shout out LeBron James. I'll give him his credit. But it's just both of them were banged up. And then out of all people, LeBron gets his credit. LeBron has been like, he's never gotten hurt. You know what I'm saying? So I'll give him his credit. He's been really
except
doing
for the last 2 years.
Okay, yeah, except the last 2 years. But you know what I mean? Like he did, like coming into LA, he did not get hurt at all. That man was like a freak of nature. That man was damn near God. You know what I'm saying? So they needed to sit down, talk to Anthony Davis, and that's what Anthony Davis needs to become. Figure out what's wrong with his body, get it right, and just move forward. Because all they need to do is add 1 or 2 shooters, and they're straight, bro. They'll get back to winning form. Because if they can have an Anthony Davis healthy all year, even if they need to do what Kawhi does, you know what I'm saying? A little rest, you know what I'm saying? Like, go ahead, take some games off. I'm not tripping. But they just need a healthy Anthony Davis in the postseason, and I think they'll be back to dominant force.
What blows my mind about that, though, is the fact that, like you said, LeBron James throughout his entire career hasn't gotten injured. Yeah. How is Anthony Davis playing with someone that knows how to treat their body so well and not like writing a few tips down? How is Anthony Davis? If I'm Anthony Davis, I'm coming into LA and I'm saying, LeBron, tell me exactly what you're doing, and that's what I want to do. Like, I couldn't agree more. I just don't understand how injuries are still a problem for him coming into a place where LeBron James is known. I mean, he's played 19 seasons and he's rarely ever been injured. I don't understand how Anthony Davis just can't write a few notes down for that.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Anthony Davis, he plays 10 times. Even when he was in New Orleans, he played so much better at the 5.
Yep.
The Lakers, I feel like there may be a couple free agents in the offseason that they could look to target to fill some defensive and leadership voids that they were missing last year. And everyone gives Danny Green a bad rap, but they sorely miss him at that shooting guard position this year. He makes timely 3-pointers. He plays great defense. And he's putting in the work for Philadelphia right now, and he's sticking it to the Lakers. So they definitely miss him. The Lakers need to find a better combination of players and role players to help I could totally see Drummond. Even though they said that Drummond's probably going to be a part of the future for the Lakers, I don't see him coming back. I don't see Montrezl Harrell coming back, and I don't see Dennis Schroeder coming back. I think the Lakers are going to reset entirely, and they're going to figure out a way to get back to championship form next year. Whether that's signing guys like Kyle Lowry or maybe trading for someone, even though I don't think they have enough pieces to do it, for someone like Damian Lillard or Bradley Beal. They definitely have to go back to work because the Western Conference is only getting stronger, and teams like Utah, Phoenix, Denver, they're all going to continuously get better, and they're all young. And that's something that's at the Lakers' disadvantage at the moment. Even the Clippers, they're probably going to get better next season, if I had to guess. Dallas is only going to get better. So they have to catch up with the times and get back up on top of the mountain because they're gonna start to feel it for the next couple of years if they don't get any sort of help for LeBron and AD, especially on LeBron's last couple of years of his career.
Yeah. And the only positive note that I can take, or the Lakers should take from this, is the fact that they had a really, really, really short offseason last year.
Mm-hmm.
And here we go. Yes, I mean, I get it. It's everybody's GOAT. You know what I mean? First rounded. Oh, my God, first time in his career. But at this point, look at the positives behind it. You know, you lose. Now you have a very, very longer, much longer offseason, and everybody can get healthy. Everybody get their body right. Figure out what the rotation is going to be like. Figure out what the roster is going to be like, and start getting to work. Believing in each other, getting to work, and talk. I need the biggest thing this offseason, besides obviously getting their players, is, well, two big things. LeBron needs to do what D-Wade did to LeBron after they lost that Mavericks series and lost that ring. You know what I mean? LeBron needs to sit Anthony Davis down and let him know this is your team. This is going to be your team. You know what I mean? And you need to find a way to just lock in, take your role, accept it. And then LeBron needs to tell him, look, play the 5, bro. At least I think, bro. Like we said earlier, Anthony Davis has to play that 5. If they get that spot-up shooter at the 4, they're set for life. You know what I mean? And then, obviously, another thing is just getting that body right, like I mentioned. LeBron needs to get him right with his trainers and just, you know, figure out what is going wrong with Anthony Davis because he should not be injured. That's pretty much all I got to say.
Yeah. Going back to what Montana said, though, I think he hit it right on the nail. I mean, Danny Green got all of that hate last year because he had a couple games where he went 0 he had a couple air balls, turns into memes. But people tend to forget very quickly that the Lakers broke the NBA record for most threes in a finals. Yep. They were winning those series last year by hitting clutch 3 after clutch 3 because LeBron and AD drove in, they doubled, kick out, easy bucket. And like you guys said, the Lakers just did not have that this year. And if you add a couple shooters to that Lakers team, they could be scary. They could be scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So before we get into our last main topic of today's show, I want to remind you guys, if you guys haven't followed yet or listen to the Apple Podcast feed or the Spotify feed, give us a listen over there, rate, review, tell us how much you like me and Sebastian. It helps us get sponsorships. If you guys are video listeners, subscribe to the YouTube, drop a like, leave a comment. It helps us on the YouTube algorithm. If you're watching us here right now on Twitch and you haven't followed us yet, drop that follow. We're almost affiliated, so we'll be able to offer subscriptions to you guys. So thanks for the support. And now, as we get to the last main topic of today's show, the Dallas Mavericks up 3-2 over the Los Angeles Lakers. This is the last series of round 1. Clippers currently going on. Did I say Lakers?
Yes, you did.
Well, sorry about that. Clippers, Mavericks. All right. So they play at 9 o'clock Eastern time tonight on ESPN. The Mavericks are up 3-2. The Clippers, not one team has won a home game yet in this series. Sebastian, do we think that changes tonight?
Absolutely, brother. You know me, bro. Called this series in 6. You know what I mean? Called it in 6. I got Dallas winning tonight. Like I said last podcast, it's going to be Liddy in Dallas. Luka's going to go for a whopping 40. Everybody's going to step up. Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to have 20, 25. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even be surprised if Porzingis comes out and has like a nice little slight 15. You know what I mean? Like I said this yesterday. The Mavericks are winning by 10 plus tonight. You know what I mean? We're going to see Pandemic P at some point. When? I don't know. But we're seeing Pandemic P at some point. You know what I mean? Kawhi is not going to drop 30 points. I don't think he does. I would bet, if you know what I'm saying, I would put a lot of money that Kawhi drops under 30 tonight. You know what I mean? So I think that goes down. I don't think Kawhi hits 30. I don't think maybe PG hoops again. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he has a stellar performance. But I think we see Pandemic P at some point. I love Luka Doncic. I love the Dallas Mavericks. I'll say it again, like I always say, underrated, slept, you know what I'm saying, underappreciated team in the Western Conference as well as the Suns. You know what I mean? I think they both go to the Western Conference Finals. I think Luka wins it tonight. Mark Cuban's going to go crazy. We're going to be lit. I wish I had a ticket to book it to Dallas because I'd be litty over there too with him. You know what I'm saying? Blake?
I hate to say it, but I disagree with you tonight. I'm taking the Clippers tonight. Not only do I take the Clippers tonight, I'm taking the Clippers in 7. I think the Clippers. Yes, I think you are right on the dot. I think that. I mean, Luka's going to do his thing. He could very easily drop 40 tonight, and there's nothing the Clippers are going to do. I mean, he's one of those generational type players that he's going to get his. You can throw a couch at him. You can throw whatever you want at him. He's going to go out there and hit his step back 3, and there's not a thing you can do about it. But I think the Clippers are going to win tonight. and I think they blow them out too. I don't think the game's close tonight. I think Clippers by 15 plus. I think you might think this is crazy, but I love Nicholas Batum to have a good game today. I think he's going to have a good 17, 18-point game. He's going to do what Jay Crowder did last night. He's going to come in there. He's going to sit in the corner, Kawhi PG. They're going to drive. Batum's going to be about 5 of 6 from 3 tonight. I'm calling it right now. Clippers by 15. I think the Mavericks are going to be outmatched. Porzingis hasn't had a good game all series, really, and I think that's going to really show here. I think the Clippers can point that out. I think they focus too much on Porzingis, and he's having I think he had 8 points and 6 rebounds in 30 minutes last game, and he's supposed to be your second best player. I mean, how much can Luka really care? I mean, Luka has been carrying that team. I mean, last game he had 42. The next highest was Tim Hardaway with 20. That can't happen this game for the Clippers to win. I mean, for the Mavericks to win, excuse me. If the Mavericks want to win, they need to have multiple guys going off.
Let me say one thing. The only reason that last game was close, and I said this yesterday, Reggie Jackson's stellar performance. I don't think we get that Reggie Jackson tonight. Sure, it'll be replaced by Nicholas Batum, but this man, Reggie Jackson, shot 6 threes last game, and I think he had 20-something points. I don't think anybody fills in that role to score that 20, you know what I'm saying, with Kawhi playing slow and PG playing slow. You know what I mean? So I don't see it. If Batum does it, hey, all credit to him. I think, though, that Dorian Finney-Smith was going to be what you said Batum was going to be. So it's crazy that you said that. I really thought Finney-Smith was going to come out here and, him, Luka, and Tim Hardaway Jr. were going to carry the load for that team because I know Finney-Smith hasn't had a really good series, but I feel like he's going to lock in and secure for my man Luka, secure for my man Tim Hardaway. You know what I mean? But, hey, that's cool that we both disagree. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's conversation.
You're saying you don't think Reggie will have as good of a game? But I think that's his I think that was the peak of his career. I don't think he'll ever do it again. I think I agree. He might not have as good of a game, but I don't think you can expect Kawhi and Paul George to have as bad of games as they did. I mean, Kawhi had 20 points and PG had 23. I mean, it's game 6. It's just not. I don't think it's going to happen. If we're going to see Kawhi be that top 5 player that everyone says he is, 20 points, that just cannot happen in a playoff game, especially when he's supposed to be the best player.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I think the Clippers, I'm on Blake's side here. I think the Clippers are going to win tonight's game. I don't think the trend of home teams winning their home games is going to break. I think the Clippers are going to send this back to game 7. I still think the Clippers are definitely the better team, and I just don't think Kawhi Leonard and Paul George have really shown up to prove that they're the better team, because this is the team that everyone was saying, oh, this is the team that's going to make the finals this year. This is the team that's finally going to beat the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. Obviously, the Lakers didn't get it that far, but the Clippers still have an opportunity to stake their claim in LA, and it starts tonight. If they don't show up tonight, if Kawhi Leonard doesn't show up, if Paul George doesn't show up, the Mavericks are going to win. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that one. As far as Reggie Jackson goes, you quickly forget, Sebastian, that this guy was a really good prolific scorer when he was with Oklahoma City and Detroit. The guy can ball. He can shoot the ball. Even though he hasn't really shown up for LA this year, he hasn't really shown up to be that same player that he was in Detroit and Oklahoma City. He's shown flashes, and of course, last game was one of those flashes. I think if he doesn't put that performance off the bench, they probably won't win the game. But he needs to have at least around 15 points. I think to give the Clippers a chance, he needs to have around 15. Rondo was brought on to be a leader for the Clippers. That's what another piece that the Lakers were missing last year that was sorely missed. But Rondo obviously can't shoot. We know he can't shoot, but he's a leader. He plays defense. He sets the offense up nicely. The Clippers thought when they brought him in that he was going to be that guy that he was for the Lakers. He was going to make timely shots. He was going to lead the offense down the court fast. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard obviously haven't gotten in sync together, and I don't know if that's going to change in this series or not yet. But this is make or break for LA tonight. If the Clippers don't win, Kawhi is going to have to really consider his options going forward and whether or not the Clippers are the best place for him to win championships. Because, like I said before, the West is not getting any easier. He had it easy when he went to Toronto and won that championship with Toronto. The East was not as good as they used to be, but they're getting better. Obviously, teams like Atlanta and Boston next year will probably get better. I anticipate Miami will probably get better next year as well. But Kawhi Leonard is definitely missing the Eastern Conference a little bit. Even with Brooklyn there, I think that he might have had a better opportunity to win basketball games there. But for Dallas, I do think Luka Doncic is a great player. He's a generational talent. The guy is going to need to get somewhere between 40 and 45 tonight, and I think he'll get somewhere over 10 plus assists. The guy has a triple-double, obviously. But the team around Dallas it worries me a little bit. Besides Tim Hardaway Jr., Kristaps Porzingis hasn't really shown up for Dallas recently. Guys like Dorian Finney-Smith are inconsistent. Yep. It's really the only guy that's really showing up for Doncic is Tim Hardaway Jr. And it's supposed to be Porzingis that's supposed to be the guy that's supposed to be his co-star. And the guy's getting paid $100+ million on that contract, and he's not living up to that contract at the moment. I don't know if the knee injuries have gotten to him, but if Porzingis doesn't step up for Dallas tonight, then the Clippers are going to win.
I definitely agree with what you're saying. I think the Mavericks have a team to where you have to play well to beat them because they have enough offensive firepower that even when they have a bad game, they're going to score 110, 115 because they just have players that can hit threes. And it's a 3 game. And if you can hit threes, you can be down 20 and it's the NBA and it comes back, you're down 7 just like that in half a quarter. But I just think I don't think that Kawhi Leonard and why am I going blank? Paul George. Yeah, sorry. Pandemic P. I agree with you, Montana. I don't think they're a good fit, and I never have. Yes, it's good on paper because you think 2 guys that can get you clutch buckets, 2 guys that can play defense, but they don't run well off each other because they require the ball a lot. Like you can make the argument that the Nets have 3 guys that need the ball, but they move the ball so well. Like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are not guards. They're forwards at the position, and they need the ball. They don't like to have the ball other than to shoot it. And with that being said, I don't think that Kawhi Leonard returns to the Clippers next year. I think especially if the Clippers lose tonight, Kawhi Leonard is packing his bag. He's not going to talk to the coaches. He's not going to talk to the players. You'll see him on a new roster next year.
Shoot. You'll see him on a roster, and you know what I'm saying? We all know what that roster is going to be, a beautiful, none other than a Miami Heat jersey. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I think the only way that the Mavericks play bad or the Mavericks lose this game is if they, like you guys said, they don't get their production from their bench. I know you guys are saying it's like inconsistent and whatnot, and their key role players. But I just feel like Luka's gonna go off. I feel like Hardaway's gonna have a decent game. It doesn't have to be 20. It could be like 15. I think Finney-Smith will get at least 10. But that key piece off the bench has got to be Jalen Brunson. I think Jalen Brunson has just had an inconsistent series. I think he's also a sleeper pick. He's a phenomenal point guard. I just don't think he's been able to get in a rhythm as of late. I think he had maybe 1 or 2 games scoring over 12 points or whatever the case may be this series. So it's just 2 games. Sorry. So it's just a very inconsistent player. I think he just needs to step up a little bit when he comes in and then he gets his little fair share of minutes and they'll be fine. There's just a lot of pieces that the Mavericks have that are inconsistent, but when hot are they're a firehouse. They're a firehouse team if all of these pieces get hot. You know what I mean? So it just comes down to how they want to play, if they're going to hit their shots, if they're going to come out sparking. But if not, then I completely agree. With Reggie Jackson, though, the man is 31. You know what I'm saying? The man hasn't really done much in the past couple years. I'm looking at these stats right now. He averaged 9 last year, but he also only played 17 games. He's averaging 10 this year. You know what I mean? So to say as of late that he's a crazy, you know what I mean? I can't agree with that. I don't see him doing anything crazy. I don't see him scoring 20, maybe 15 would be nice, but is that going to be enough? They won, or what did they lose by 5 or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Is that going to be enough for that team? I just don't know. He'd have to step up for them, especially with Tyler Lue going over there and telling Patrick Beverley he's out of the rotation. There's just a lot of pieces that need to step up for the Clippers in order for this to be successful.
No, I definitely agree. And this might get some Mavs fans on me for saying this, but I am not a full believer in Rick Carlisle. I'm really not. I mean, how many years has Rick Carlisle been with the Mavericks? Can you answer me that? Since
before they won that championship.
The man had freaking long hair last time. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. And I think if you go through and all the years that he's been with the Mavs, they choke every year except for 2011. And 2011 is the one exception. And that's why obviously Rick Carlisle is still a coach there, because people see that as the greatest upset in NBA Finals history. Not even NBA Finals, just that playoff run that Mavs team. I mean, don't even get me started. It's one of the best playoff runs ever. But I'm not a believer in Rick Carlisle. I think he continuously doesn't play his players enough minutes. He likes to sit with that 6 to 7 player rotation, even though, like you said, Jalen Brunson is a very good guard, and he had 10 minutes last game. I just don't think that should happen. I mean, Jalen Brunson should be getting at least 15 to 20 minutes a game, and I think that should be without a question. And I think Rick Carlisle is still with the Mavs because him and Mark Cuban are such good friends. I don't think Rick Carlisle is doing anything spectacular. I mean, what have the Mavs done that, when have they taken a bad team and been like, wow, their coaching is really just taking them over the edge? No, Luka has taken them over the edge. Luka is the reason they went from garbage to good, not Rick Carlisle.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I was mentioning this. I don't know if it was last episode or a couple episodes ago, but I want to see what that original rotation used to look like, or I want to see that tonight. Dwight Powell, I get Dwight Powell had 22 off the bench and whatnot, but I think before his Achilles injury, I think that rotation and that lineup was absolutely one of the nastiest lineups in the NBA. Dwight Powell, KP, because at the time KP was obviously playing good. Right now he's not the greatest, but if KP can get in his bag, have Dwight Powell there, and then Luka, Finney-Smith, and Hardaway Jr., I think that team will be perfectly fine. But I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, it is what it is. I don't know why they started Boban last game. They still won, so I'm not gonna knock the decision. I just don't see it. I think again, Dwight Powell should get all the minutes. If you're already gonna give him 22 more than the starting center, you might as well just start his ass. But yeah, I mean, I just think that rotation or that lineup would be nice to see tonight. Hopefully, we do see that.
All right. So, as you have the Mavericks winning, me and Blake have the Clippers winning. We expect to see a Game 7 played on Sunday. Before we end today's show, I just want to give a special commemoration to Coach K's legendary career. Facts. We found out recently that we never covered this on yesterday's show, but we found out recently that he is going to be retiring after this season. He's coached 20-plus years at Duke. He's won a couple national titles. He's led the USA Olympic men's national basketball team to a couple gold medals. The guy has absolutely coached some phenomenal players over the years, from guys like Brandon Ingram to Zion to a bunch of players that have came to Kyrie Irving, that come through Duke, Jason Tatum,
Austin Rivers. Austin Rivers is a hooper in college. Don't sleep.
A lot of NBA players have come through his tutelage, and the guy has definitely proven on the college level that he's one of the greatest coaches to ever coach. And maybe he's never gotten it done in the NBA level, but we've seen him coach NBA players in the Olympics, and he's gotten it done there. So, Sebastian, any thoughts on Coach K and his absolutely remarkable career?
Man, I've had so much love for Coach K ever since I was a kid. Montana, I won't mention the person's name, but a good friend of mine back in elementary, that's his uncle. So obviously I've never met Coach K, but yeah, that man, I've been around that name, or have heard of his legacy ever since I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? So just watching Duke play growing up was just, absolutely amazing. That was the school everyone wanted to go to. Now it's become Kentucky, Calipari. Then it was UNC with Roy. Damn, we should. I mean, I guess that was a long time ago, but he also had a, crazy coaching career. Shout out Roy. But yeah, they both had great coaching careers. It was impeccable. All these great words that you could possibly say. Amazing to watch. Those schools really appreciate them. I know it's going to be crazy. I just want to see how they turn this around. I want to see what Duke does now without Coach K. What are they going to do? Who's going to fill in that role? Because that's a lot, like Brad Stevens said for the freaking Celtics. It's a big shoe to fill to come in to the Boston Celtics after Doc Rivers was there. Now it's a big shoe to fill for him to freaking take on the president of operations with Danny Ainge, sorry. So I just want to see who's going to step in and be that, coach and fill in that role for Coach K and Duke, So we'll see.
No, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, Coach K's had, a fantastic career. And people tend to forget Coach K took over Duke when they were garbage. Duke was not a basketball school when Coach K took over, and he brought them from nothing to winning. I believe he's got 4 or 5 national championships. That's just unbelievable. The amount of first round, not even just first rounders, the amount of lottery picks that man has just produced for the NBA is unbelievable. And we'll see. I agree more. We'll see if I think it's Shaler stepping in. He's going to be
the John Shaler or something like that.
John Shaler, yeah. He
I've
was
not
the
been paying attention.
He's been the assistant. He played for Duke. But yeah, I couldn't agree more. We'll see if he's in there. And you can't fill Coach K's shoes. There's
at all.
There's nothing you can do. I don't care who you are as a coach. There's no filling those shoes. But we'll see if Duke can continue to be a powerhouse like they were under Coach K.
The question to both of you is, do you think with Coach K gone and with Roy Williams gone, do you think UNC and Duke lose their recruiters? Do you think these people still say, screw it, let's go to Duke? It's a pout. Do you think they still go there to both of those teams? Or do you think, or schools, I should say, not teams? What do you guys think?
No, because I think with Roy Williams and with Coach K leaving, they're leaving the school programs in good hands by naming their own successors that the players are going to trust.
Okay.
So I don't think they're going to lose recruits, but I do think that the ACC landscape is going to change a little bit. As we've already seen, Florida State's been on the rise in basketball. They're not just a football school anymore. They're now a basketball school. Yep. They obviously got teams like Virginia there, Georgia Tech. We saw them win the ACC last year, so they're getting a lot better. Notre Dame's still there, even though with
hey, Mike Brady's Mike Brady's a very underrated coach. Mike Brady.
Once he gets his players developed, that third or fourth year with those players, they always make it far into the NCAA tournament.
Sebastian, you seem to forget that Notre Dame went to back-to-back Elite Eights.
No. I'm not knocking. It's just funny that Montana has to mention Notre Dame. You know what I mean? It just has to mention.
They're in the ACC. What am I supposed to not mention them?
You're not mentioning. Just because my team is not the greatest doesn't mean you can't mention Miami.
I was going to get to Miami.
Okay, all right. Sorry.
Miami, they're not very good, but they could get better, obviously.
Thank you.
Miami gets good enough recruits, though. Miami gets good enough recruits for basketball that they're reasonable usually. Injuries kind of ruined their season last year. But no, I agree with what Montana was saying. I don't think I think we're already starting to see that college basketball is turning more into those big name programs have been I wouldn't say struggling. Yes, Duke and UNC didn't have great years last year, but it's kind of been the last 5 years you've seen them slowly the recruits have been evening out and going to more places. And I think that people don't understand that. People like to think that people are going to Duke and UNC for Roy and for Coach K, which is partially true. But the people that do the major recruiting are those assistant coaches. So the people that are stepping in for UNC and for Duke, those are the guys that were getting your Jason Tatums. They were getting your Zions. They were getting those type of players. So I don't think recruiting will fall off. It's Duke, it's UNC. Those names have been kind of engraved in college basketball to where kids know those schools. Even if you don't follow college basketball, you know Duke, you know North Carolina, they're basketball schools.
One more thing that I want to mention. Do you think not it has nothing to do with any of these coaches, retiring, but do you think that players now, depending on how Jalen Green, comes into the league, do you think these high school players now take on that opportunity to do what Jalen did and go to that G League program and go through that process? Because we've already seen, oh my gosh, I'm freaking brain farting right now.
We've seen some high profile.
There was a kid. Oh my god, I'm blanking.
Decided that the G League and maybe playing overseas is better for a year than actually playing college basketball because they're getting paid. That's pretty much the only. But the coaching, in my opinion, is still better for college basketball. If you're gonna learn the most by getting coached by guys like Coach K, John Calipari.
I think
those guys.
It really just depends on like you said, how much you need that bag. Because there are players that we don't. I mean, they might need the money, and a lot of those players do need that money. So like, you have to see how much more are you gaining from that college experience. You know what I mean? You spend a year in college not making any money. Yes, you might be slightly better in basketball, but let's not forget, like, the G League is full of NBA coaches and like guys that know what it takes for to take a player from the G League to the NBA. And we've seen, I mean, think like, if we're talking about the Lakers, Alex Caruso, but he was a G League legend for a while, and then he gets brought up and he does his part. I mean, he's a good player, and like, I think, like I said earlier, it just depends on how much each individual player needs that money, because some people they can't afford that year off. They need that $500,000 is like, people don't. I mean, in terms of what other NBA players make, it's not a lot of money, but $500,000 is a life-changing amount of money for 1 year's work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm blanking. So there was a player that I was talking last night about who was the cornerstone of this high school to G League. Who?
The big guy that's gonna get drafted in the lottery?
No. Like, he's already been in the league, like, hooping, but I forgot his name. And it's like, it's unfortunate, but if I figure it out, I'll mention it next podcast. But it just sucks that I forgot, because I was trying to use him as an example. As to like high school players are looking at Jalen Green, those players that are like being impactful in their squad, but going through that G League program. And I don't think it's because of, like, at least Jalen Green, he's talented. You know what I'm saying? He could have easily played in college and just hooped. But I think going through that G League development process gives you that development of the NBA already off the muscle, rather than obviously college, because it's like, I feel like that's a completely different game than G League, because you're playing against adults. Like, you're playing against like 30-year-olds, like 28-year-olds that want that contract, that are dying for that NBA contract. Whereas with college, it's just, college hoopers, no discredit to them, but you're just playing against 3-year players that might not make the league, whatever the case may be. So I feel like going that route, especially if you're a top 5, top 10 recruit, would be ideal. Like we're seeing with Isaiah Todd, Jalen Green, Deshaun Nix, or however you pronounce his name, and I forgot Soto.
You got that junior in high school too, Sterling Henderson, 5-star. He's skipping senior year, going straight to the G League.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I also think it's like, some players want that spotlight, and you're not going to get the spotlight in the G League. If you want that spotlight, go to college. You go to those Duke, UNCs, North Carolinas, where you're going to be on primetime TV almost every one of your games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some players want that exposure, but for other players like Jalen Green, they have their brand already. I mean, that guy's got millions of followers on Instagram. They don't need that exposure that college basketball needs. You know what I mean? But some players do.
What's your take, Montana?
Yeah, of course. I listen. Obviously, players that want to go to the G League, they go there because they need the money. They want to help their families out right away. But if you want to play college basketball, in my opinion, the best path has always been college, and still will be college basketball. You're going to get so much more exposure there. You're going to be playing on the brightest stages. You're going to be the NCAA tournament alone is enough of a big stage for people to show out, and that's how some players make their names there. Looked at Steph Curry with Dayton. He made his name in the NCAA tournament. Guys like Zion, the more exposure you got in the NCAA tournament, the better it helps his draft stock. It helps people get recognition that otherwise you wouldn't see if you're playing with the G League, if you get what I'm saying.
No, yeah, I definitely. I mean, CJ McCollum's a big name. CJ McCollum went from being a second-round draft pick because he played at Lehigh, drops off a 35-point bomb on Duke in the first round, beats them, and he turns into a lottery pick just like that. I mean, Dante DiVincenzo, another name too. I mean, he has 2 good games. He's a 10-point per game average in college, has 2 good games, and he turns into a lottery pick too. I mean, it's crazy.
That Simmons kid in Portland was the dude that I was talking about. That's why I was looking down.
Oh, Anthony?
I was going through Anthony Simmons was the G League stellar player. He came out the G League, and look at how he's developed in Portland. I feel like having that, like, he went high school to G League and then straight into, Portland. Having that development process in the G League is what was able to transition him so quick to being a great backup for Damian Lillard. Jesus, it took me forever to figure that name out.
All right. So, as we remember Coach K and his career, we look forward to seeing his last season in college basketball and see how far Duke he's able to take Duke this year.
Yep.
I know he's fallen short the last couple seasons, but that doesn't mean he won't do it this year. So, as we get ready to wrap up Unspoken Rules episode 7, just a quick reminder to follow and drop a like and subscribe to the Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube. Follow the Twitch, leave us a rating, review, comment, do all those fun stuff. Tell us how much you like me and Sebastian. Helps us get sponsorships, helps us bring in more guests, helps us hopefully get paid one day for doing this. So thanks to everyone that came out today and supported us. As always, you can find
my bad to interrupt
thanks to our
go ahead.
Thanks to our special guest, Blake, for coming on to the show today. Hopefully we'll have him on more in the future. We'll be in touch on that. As far as me goes, you can find me on Instagram and at Twitter at WildcardLuis. Sebastian, where they can find you?
Rabbit FL everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, you name it. I'm there. Just Rabbit FL. Blake?
And Blake,
if you... Yeah, I want to first off just thank you guys for having me on the show, and I definitely look forward to hopefully getting to be on the show a lot more often. It's always a fun time talking with the boys, but coming on Unspoken Rules is just, I'm loving the podcast so far, and hopefully I can be a part of it.
Where can we find you?
And you can find me on Twitter, Blake Spillers, Instagram, Blake_Spillers, just search me up. But yeah.
All righty. Yes, so with that, that is the end of today's show, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Peace.
For tuning in, guys. See you.
Peace.